On.
Turn your lights on.
Let me close, wait a minute.
Excuse me, you're from West Cape May? Is it Wayne? Yes. Okay.
Aye.
Turn your mic on.
Okay. All right, I begin this meeting. This is a meeting to discuss some of the changes and whatnot, proposed changes to the city ordinance to be closer to the West Cape May ordinance.
In compliance.
And let the record show, in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act of 1975, this meeting has been sunshine. Adequate notice of meeting has been provided. Let's rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Play ball.
Thank you.
Take it
Thanks,
down,
Shane.
Shane.
Shane, there's a,
Thank you.
you want to sit up here?
Sure thing. Yeah, Nancy.
Do you want me to do a roll call?
Will you take some minutes, please?
Well, let me tell you, I don't think I'll take minutes, but how about if I summarize what our decisions are?
Yes, okay, fine.
That's better than,
Yes.
you know, he said, she said, we
Do
said,
it,
they
do a
said.
roll call.
Do a roll call. Jay,
Here?
Barbara,
Here.
George A. is excused.
Yes,
I'm here. Carol Sick,
she's
excused.
still excused with her shoulder.
Okay. George W.,
Here.
Jim,
I don't know where Jim is. I have,
okay. Robert is not here, and Shane is here, and we've got
and
Wayne.
this is
Wayne Hoffman.
Wayne. Why don't you come up here, Wayne, turn that microphone on. All right, Shane, it's up to you.
Okay, so I asked to have this meeting called to discuss two things. 2 o'clock, we're going to discuss the ordinances and how we can update them. And then at 3 o'clock, we're going to have the engineer from the city talk about what trees are going to be removed at the,
Is he coming today?
he is,
Okay.
yes.
Wayne,
Wayne is the chair.
how, your new ordinances, your shade tree ordinances, with the various penalties and whatnot, how has that been working out for you?
Not well for the people who cut the trees. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
That's all right,
Not well for the people who cut the trees down.
okay.
Illegally.
Without
Yes,
a permit,
Without a
right?
permit. One company did it, it was a Sunday, right across the street from Matt Notch, which you really don't want to do that. And Matt called me, I went out, talked to the people. One, they weren't licensed in the state of New Jersey,
They were?
were not.
Okay.
And did not have a permit. So it was a massive walnut tree, I think 45 inches, and went to court, and they were fined, and we won
You went to
20,
municipal court?
yeah, $20,000
Wow.
for cutting that tree down. Yeah, so that's one. Now, we're only getting $150 a month for the next 18 years, but that's up to the judge, he decides. Well, we've had 3 other incidents since then. We received, within 4 days of the settlement, we received a $5,000 fine payment, $1,500 payment, and just today, we went to court, $800 payment
For what?
for illegally cutting trees down.
Okay.
Without a permit. And it's unfortunate, because 2 of the trees, we would have said yes. So that was just stupid. And they knew, and I don't know why they didn't do it. So $35 fee, arborist would have gone out, looked at the trees. He would have said yes, we would have agreed, but, so, we've decided that whatever the penalty is, that's what we go after them for. We can negotiate. Matter of fact, the $5,000 penalty was $8,600, and we negotiated approximately half of that.
You negotiated it down to
Yeah,
5,000?
yeah, basically, what did we think that they would pay? But we're trying to send a message, all you have to do is,
I was just going to say, that should send a message
yeah.
pretty good,
Yeah.
pretty well.
The one, that fellow was a contractor, he should have known that.
Did you notify the arborist that you have on record at all of the changes to the ordinances?
Oh, yes, matter of fact, been instrumental in some of the changes. Yeah, we've talked to them about what would be fair, what should we do, what shouldn't we do. Matter of fact, we think we just passed a significant specimen tree ordinance. It had listed that a significant specimen tree in West Cape May was 16 inches diameter and, or it was 60% of some list in West Cape May, which doesn't exist.
Right.
So we went to talk to the commission and said, 16 inches, that's interesting for a cedar tree, but a 5-inch dogwood, that's significant. Or a 4-inch crabapple, that would be a significant crabapple tree.
Okay.
So we changed the definition to whatever shade tree or whatever the arborist
What
decide.
type of tree it was?
No, well, it depends on species, size, location, et cetera, but we now have the authority to basically arbitrarily make a decision that we believe it's a specimen tree, you're not allowed to cut it down. And that actually was enacted because of the swimming pool ordinance, the ban that was just put, or changes that just put in West Cape May. You may not put a swimming pool in the front yard or side yard, and if there is a significant specimen tree that we decide is a significant specimen
Can't put
tree,
a pool in, you can't
you
take the
can't
tree out.
take that tree out, even if it's in the middle of their backyard. They
And,
can't do it.
What's-
your
what's a
boards,
specimen tree?
your boards and whatnot, your planning and zoning board are aware of that type of a,
That is correct. Significant specimen tree is a tree that we decide is a specimen that should not be removed. So it's,
So it's at your discretion.
it's very, I'm very happy that we got that passed because it gives us, full authority. Having said that, and I mentioned in the commissioners meeting, we're not jerks. We're not going to say, hey, you can't take that 3-inch mulberry tree down because it's in the middle of the pool. We certainly will work with the homeowner. But I think about the large tree, this is in Cape May on Broadway. I think it was a cedar, but it's in the middle of an empty lot, and I think they just took that tree down within the last 3 months.
Yeah, to put a pool in.
Yeah, that, we would
On
never,
Broadway.
we would not, we now.
Same thing happened on Congress Street recently.
I'm sure. Yeah, and Matt, if
and
we,
we lost that significant tree on Washington Street, that over 100-year-old,
Copper.
button, what
Wasn't it
tree was?
copper?
Was it a
The
copper?
big one on
copper
Washington Street,
birch?
right across the street from the Physics Estate.
Yeah, the copper tree.
That's a copper, it was a copper beech tree.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
that was a 60-some-odd inch diameter tree, but it was right in the middle of the lot. And the people sold the lot, and they couldn't sell the lot without having to be able to take the tree down. And we had to.
I can understand
we got
homeowners,
$75 for removal of the
Yeah.
tree. But that was a significant tree, but it was situated on a lot where really nothing else could be put on that lot.
120 Eldridge, there were 18 trees there, 4 cedars,
Yeah, yeah.
3 feet down. It's absolutely beautiful. They're all gone. There's one Critham area, which is probably an 80-footer that's right between 122 and 120, right in the middle, and it is getting beaten up. I just took pictures yesterday and sent them to Stacy, who's our new enforcement officer, so she'll be out there again. But 2 other things which we're proposing. One is the fines for people taking trees down. It's very obvious. You take a tree down, you didn't have an application, there's going to be a fine. You're going to court. But we've had 5 demos in the last 2.5, 3 months of homes where I get a phone call, house is coming down. There's no tree protection. Our ordinance reads before any activity occurs on that lot, any activity, a shovel in the ground, you put up stakes, but you can't do that until you protect the trees. And none of them did it. And so I get called, we go out there, we put a stop work order on the property.
This is to put the barrier around a tree.
Correct.
Saved, a solid barrier.
Correct.
Our ordinance calls for a mesh barrier, which is fine, but after the construction goes for 10 minutes,
Stuff gets underneath the
the
tree.
mesh has been
Yeah.
run over.
And they get knocked down and they stay down.
Absolutely. Weather comes in, you get 40-mile-an-hour winds, and off they go. So anyway, now we have, 5 people that didn't comply, and we're going to, our attorney is going to be writing up a new amendment to an ordinance, because you get stop work order, and then they go back to work. And we've had 4 regular citizens cut down trees, and they got hammered with fines, and these guys don't get. So we are going to add a fine to that.
for private citizens.
No, this is for anybody. Before any activity occurs on, you must put up tree protection. If not, I think it's going to read, fines up to X number of dollars may be imposed. So that way, stop work order, and they get fined immediately. So that we are finding that's the only way to, make an impression to hit the, stop work order is good because it stops them and they stop making money. But even $1,000 or $5,000 fine, you're selling a property now for $1 million or whatever. I don't know if they care, but at least it's something. They're
Who
getting
puts your stop work order up? Your
zoning.
Pardon?
Zoning does.
The zoning does.
Yep.
We have code enforcement people that would do it. And
Well,
also,
correct. Yeah,
yeah, and also I would imagine the building inspector, building inspector down below could do that too, a stop work order.
Yeah,
But
he did.
normally, we would call the code enforcement.
Yeah, I'm actually deputy code enforcement too in West Cape May, so I'm allowed to go out there and I can't write tickets, but what I do is I drive around and I take pictures. I send them to Stacy, who's our new code enforcer, and she goes out and she enforces them. So, we're trying.
When did you begin the program? And when did this thing, when was it conceived?
What is that? All the ordinances? Well, I think I've been involved 7 years. I think I became chairman 5 years ago, and probably then, because we started talking, Mickey Reagan, our arborist, and Matt Notch, and they're like crying. He said, "You can't believe the trees that are coming down." And people, they just don't care. And we have found, you can also make all these changes, all these ordinances, that's great. You have to have enforcement. And we did not have that. We then had Rhiannon in Worthington work there, and unfortunately, health issues, she had to leave. Now Stacy has become involved, I think it's about 2 months, and she came from healthcare, so she knows zero about this industry, but she is very smart, and she keeps great records, anticipates questions, and calls me all the time, and I try to give her as much quality information as possible. So, but yeah, we're trying. Not a whole lot more buildable lots in West Cape May, but what is occurring now is the small ones. Second and Columbia, that's one they tore down this, there were 5 additions to this little place, and it was still little. I think like 1,500 square feet. They're going to put up a 4,000 square foot home. I don't know how it'll fit there. I just don't know. And they want to take down, there are 8 trees on a property. They want to take down 7. They want to leave the pear. I said, no, take the pear down. But I don't think, and it looks to me like there'll probably be 6 trees that we will not allow them to take down. There's no reason to take them down. They're 15 feet away from the house. So.
Can your planning board and zoning board authorize the cutting of trees without your commission's approval?
If a tree is in the middle of a proposed house, we don't have any authority. We have authority from the edge of the house, edge of the structure, 6 feet out, they're allowed to take down trees. Anything outside of that, they're not allowed to without an application.
Okay.
Permit. So,
It
norm.
also includes, I would imagine also includes a driveway and
Drive-
garage or outbuilding that's
Correct.
planned.
Now, fortunately, about 3 months ago, I have begun receiving all the stuff from the planning board. I get to see it actually almost first. And I then go to them and we write up a page and a half, whatever, synopsis of all the trees on the property and which trees should be protected, which we're not real happy with. 2 trees were mimosa trees right in the middle of a proposed deck. And that was fine for us. You can take those down. But there were a couple other trees, 2 cedars, I think 2 hackberries that they wanted to remove, and there was no reason to. The one woman didn't like the leaves coming down on the one. There aren't any on cedars. Anyway, but that's when it started, and it has been a slog. It's been a real, and
Has it acted as a deterrent, can you tell?
absolutely. Just this morning, I went by Mike Larrick, who's beginning to do a lot more tree work, and I called him. He says, "I know why you're calling. We're on Green Street. We're just trimming." The tree guys now know that you're going to get hit with fines. 4 tree people we have the 3-strike rule. If
Right.
you get a violation, you go to court, you lose, that's 1 strike. If you have 3 strikes within 5 years, you may not do business in
How
what?
many? 3?
3 3 in 5 years. You may not then do business in West Cape May for 5 years.
3 violations in
Five.
lost in
Yeah,
5
yeah.
years.
So there are four of them that have one, and it's been a year and a half ago, and they're extremely compliant, very compliant, so. But Norm was kind of not, zoning was not on board, or he's so busy, he's overwhelmed in West Cape May now with the construction, et cetera.
Yeah.
And he has really, I mean, turned the corner. He calls me all the time now, something's happening here, something's happening there. One person called up, wanted to cut the tree down, he said, talk to Wayne. You know, he's been great. So, but that's what you need. You really need zoning and enforcement to get out there and, you know, tell them to stop it, you know, and fine them. You know, stop work orders, they do work for a while.
Have you seen,
Yeah.
sometimes we see a problem in that one commission won't be talking to another commission. And you'll have a prohibition from the one commission and an overall approval, a specific prohibition, and then another commission will be giving a site granted, and
You mean like the environmental would say something and Shade Tree would disagree or whatever? Or-
Are you talking like?
Or the commissioners.
planning commission
you know,
or something like
HPC.
that?
Right.
Give overall approval to the site plan concept.
Right.
We do provide documentation to zoning on a regular basis. It actually goes into their meeting packets. So in this one particular case that just occurred, the property did not need a variance.
Right.
So zoning had the documentation, however, no action. HPC approved the site in its entirety, so a cedar tree
Right.
went down.
We're finding that because we're working so closely now together. My wife is the secretary of Shade Tree. She's also on HPC. So I hear everything, what's going on there. And she is very adamant about you follow the rules.
Have you done anything formally, I mean, to
Like in writing,
require conversation?
no, but I've been to one or two HPC meetings, and they have said, have you gone to Shade Tree? Have you done an application? Have you talked to them?
That's great.
Yeah, which is, yeah, and vice versa, you know. And people understand that, you know, we used to, I think when I first got there, we weren't highly thought of. They thought that we were ogres and we were overbearing and we overstepped. And I have continually, I go to commissioner meetings once a year with the annual report. We allowed 92% of the trees to be cut down that people came to us with requests in the last 3 years. I think we're really listening to the residents. Now, they must plant trees. They must put in replacement trees once they cut a tree down. If it's outside the envelope of a structure, they have to plant 2 trees. We also instituted, I think a year ago, a tree bank. So-
What?
A tree bank. If
tree
they don't want to put that tree on their property, you give us $400, and we'll plant it somewhere. And it's just started to kick in. We've had 5 contributions to the tree bank. So we have $2,000. We can plant 5 trees. Trees don't care where they're planted. They'll plant it anywhere. If you don't want, we just had 2 people. We got a grant for 50 trees to plant them, and that's going to be happening in the next month or so. And I'm going to plant beautiful flowering trees along the school area. And 2 people didn't want them in front of their house because it obstructed their view of the school. So we're going to plant them on a school property right across the street from them. So anyway, but yeah, it's been a lot of work, and the coordination, I think, in the last year and a half is really, we've kind of coalesced.
So that, the tree bank happens, you already require them to replace any tree that's taken down, right?
Correct. They have
So if
one
they don't
one
do
year.
that-
Right.
That's even trees within the footprint of the building, driveway, and garage?
Yes, because we're just going through this with a contractor. They owe us 19 trees.
Don't charge any fee, or, to take a healthy tree down that's in the footprint of the building,
Correct.
driveway, or the garage, but you do require them to put money for
They,
a tree
they,
bank.
they must replace it.
Yes.
Or put money in a tree bank. We had one contractor that, there's 7 trees that, he put 13 trees on a property, and it owed us 20. And Wayne, I can't fit them there. Well, 7 times 400 is $2,800.
Yeah, we don't have that tree bank requirement. That might be something to consider. But.
Well, we don't
but-
have a
but,
replacement either.
Yeah, we don't have a replacement
Right.
ordinance either, yeah.
I
I'm
th-
writing down all these notes here, so I'll bring it up.
And I think that's big because, you cut a tree down,
what?
if you cut a tree down, more trees are going to be cut down than be replaced. I mean, people, if they're not required to place them,
Yeah, you have the dimensions in here.
correct,
Anything over 3 inches, you need a permit to cut down.
correct.
And let's say it's a 15-inch tree that you gave permission to cut down, they got to plant at least, 2-inch nursery stock?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
And we're also going
I
to,
think it says 2.5 inches
I think, yeah,
nursery stock.
also went, the October meeting, shade tree meeting, up in Atlantic City or Cherry Hill, whatever it was, and it wanted, get a hold of some of those booklets that they put out.
Get a
There's
hold of what?
white booklets, they're 50, 60 pages. They have every letter that you ever want to write to, residents. They have every form in there, and they had this form in here for replacement trees. If it's greater than 4 inches, 1 for 1. 4 inches, 12 inches, what?
Oh, okay.
Anyway, greater than 12 inches, 2 for 1. Greater than 24, 4 to 1. So we're going, our attorney is writing this up. So if you cut down a 24-inch tree, you owe us 4 trees.
Down,
10-inch tree, it's 1.
right.
I'd like it to be more, but we have to, it's baby steps. So, but greater than 18 inches, 2 trees, greater than 24. I mean, if you look at canopies, you take down a 24-inch tree.
Yeah, everybody reading that letter will be dead and gone by the time that's a canopy.
Yeah, some gentleman on Broadway wants to, right next to the trailer, one of the Reed's trailer places, it's got to be 6 feet in diameter. And he wants to take it down and put in a pair. And we just got the application today, and we went out and looked at it, and it's a beautifully healthy, spectacular tree. It could be one of the biggest, in West Cape May, so, anyway. But yeah, the conversation has been a lot of back and forth with environmental, with the HPC, zoning, enforcement, the 3 commissioners. We try to keep everybody in the loop, so this is what we're doing. And powerful is, my wife said I shouldn't use that word. We've become pretty powerful. I mean, people believe that, we're trying to, first of all, we do good work. We planted 35 trees last year, free for people who wanted them. We got Atlantic City Electric, I would call them up. We got 20 trees from them 2 years ago, because they have this responsibility, I guess, to do that in communities.
Net loss.
Yeah.
Do you have any additional rules besides what you've discussed in regards to street trees?
Well, the street trees, I always try to say, they are trees in the borough right away. You don't call street trees. People, street trees, they're, your trees. But yeah, most of it in West Cape May is, I think, 10 feet from the curb, and that's in the borough right away. So the responsibility is that of the homeowner to take care of the trees. We have an interesting amount of money in shade tree, and we did an inventory, I think, 2 years ago. 4 trees were identified that should come down. 2 trees were on one property. They're big trees, and the gentleman didn't want them down. So he had significant, Matt Notch reduced the canopy, did a great job on them, and they're still remaining. But that's very infrequent that somebody says, we'd like to keep these trees. It's usually, please take them down. But 4 identified to be taken down, 31 identified that there were significant issues in the tree. They should be trimmed almost immediately. So we're considering, it might open up a can of worms, to do a 50-50. Like I think you guys have on the sidewalk, 50-50, that that tree is going to cost $1,100 to do some trimming on it. We'll kick in half of that.
Okay.
I don't know why I picked 1,100. That's a hard number. $550 to take care of that for you.
Right.
So, and it'll be a one-time only, because I know what'll happen. And people ask why those were identified as these are potentially dangerous trees.
Okay.
And I don't believe West Cape May has ever done any trimming or any care of any trees in the borough.
Ever done a what?
Any type of maintenance on the trees in the borough right away. I don't think so. And we get pushback about, You planted the tree, the borough did, Shade Tree planted them, and, well, it's.
We do that generally when there's a branch, owner tells us that the branch is too low to the sidewalk.
Right.
Or too low over parked vehicles on the street, or interfering with sight triangle at a corner, even though it might be 25 feet back from the corner, stuff like this. That's our routine maintenance, to go out, trim those trees.
Right.
Oftentimes, we'll also help out. Atlantic Electric doesn't touch some of these trees, but our always will
Right.
will cut a few holes in to allow new electric lines or something like that to
Right.
come in.
That's
And
interesting.
our 50/50 program seems to be very popular, and it would be in West Cape May also. It gets expensive, but it provides, because your trees are as old as ours.
Right.
And they're impacting the sidewalk, same as ours, because you planted trees in his street lawn.
Right.
And his trees take over and affect the walkway. And the homeowner is responsible for maintaining a straight and level sidewalk, but he doesn't own the sidewalk.
Right.
The city owns that right away. So the 50/50 gives us a chance to talk to the concrete people and tell them to hump it up and over.
Right.
Arc it into the yard, or combination of the above, or use wire mesh in there to maintain a reasonably level sidewalk, but at least have something that's not going to crack in 5 years.
Yep, absolutely. We actually, there's a project on, I think it's second or third, I think it's Second Avenue, that was done between Broadway and Pacific. And they took all the curbing out, moved the curbing in, put in plates, and also they took care of all the sidewalks, which I had pushed them for it, and I was amazed that they did that, because that's not their responsibility, but I believe it was in the grant. So they got grant money for it and get the, pardon me?
Who did that?
The borough got a grant and they paid for it. They paid for the street, and also they paid for the entire sidewalk. And they did a lot of those, the cuts
Yeah.
around the.
Arc into the lawn.
Arcing, correct.
Notch the sidewalk.
Yep, so,
And I've got the city manager contacted the county and the county engineer about redoing Lafayette Street. There's a lot of trees that have enveloped the curbing.
oh, yeah, yeah.
You know,
they're-
have just gone, the roots have gone over the
Right.
curbing. And I didn't want them to come in and go straight and affect those. And they've agreed to come up to the tree and then away from the tree on their new curbings that they're gonna put in there, and not affect the stability.
Sycamores, once they do that, the sidewalk, the curbing becomes part of the tree.
Yes.
And if you take that out, that's an
Exactly
issue.
what's happened.
Yeah.
Well, we require the homeowner to have 2 quotes, a minimum, before we offer that 50/50 program.
Right,
So that way, we have an opportunity to say, make sure when we do the sidewalks, they don't do anything to the roots, make sure that it's arced out. And that way, you get a fair, value of what the
Yep.
cost of the work is. That might be something you want to do when it
Yep.
comes to trimming your trees, making sure that the homeowner gets 2 quotes.
okay.
That way,
I'm going to write that down because I don't remember that.
And generally, I decide on sidewalk repairs, which quote to accept. We notify the homeowner pays half of the quote up front to us.
Uh-huh.
When the job, and then we let the contract out to the chosen contractor. I inspect it afterward. If it's all done correctly and whatnot, we release the money and we pay them.
Gotcha, okay.
So we seem to be working
Yeah,
out pretty
oh,
well.
good. Yeah, on Second Street, our arborist went out, and he paid close attention to what were they doing and how they were digging, where they were doing, so the root protection, they did a very good job. I was impressed with the company. I don't know what the name of the company is. And the tree protection was wonderful, too. You know, one other thing I didn't mention, which I think just passed a month ago, was the elevation of trees. It must be 14 feet over streets and 8 feet over sidewalks. So we will then be contacting homeowners.
I thought it was 13 feet over the street.
We hunted a number of different
about
municipalities.
How about leaners? Trees that lean to the street.
Can't cut the tree off, but we can elevate, hopefully take some of the lower branches
Talk
off.
about a trunk that leans
Yeah.
to the street.
Well, we have one at Fifth and Pacific, which is one of the trees we wanted to take down. And, I mean, it is, you can't park a car there because the roof would hit the tree. But we have not addressed that.
Yeah, I'm not concerned that much with cars, but box trucks coming through. Generally box trucks are normally driven by people not always, but not driven by people that don't know how to drive trucks.
Right.
And don't know how big and how wide the truck is.
Oh.
The U-Haul trucks, various things like this. Semi-trailers, these operators are pretty, if they're proficient enough, they know about leaning trees and keep to the middle or don't go down that street at all. But box trucks, you know, the fixed box truck.
Yep.
That we get impact with trees. Not all the time. Most of the trees have been taken down by trucks.
Yeah,
You know,
that
so
was like years and
it's
years ago when we had a lot
taken
of
care of.
problems on Lafayette Street with
Yes.
trucks.
Right.
Mainly
Yeah.
Lafayette Street.
Washington Street.
Buses use Lafayette Street, and semi-trailers use Lafayette Street, but the worst offenders are box trucks.
It'd be nice to move all the trees back into people's properties instead of in that curb cut, but I can't do that anymore. We have, Peter Burke, actually, a box truck just went by on Friday and took off a branch. It had 6 inches. I mean, just sheared it right off.
Wow.
The branch or the truck?
No, we didn't see the truck, but there was the branch just taken off and something had hit it. And I'm pretty sure
Well,
the box truck.
you go down Lafayette Street, in some cases on some of the older streets in Village Green area, you see the damage 12, 14 feet up in the air of where trucks have
Yep.
peeled off parts of the trunk and whatnot over the years. It's
Yep.
healed over, and the tree seems to be doing well, but you can see the impact there.
Yeah, trees they're pretty tough, pretty resilient.
I really like your application that you have for the tree removal. Now, just to clarify something, when a person wants one tree removed from their property and they put it in the application, is it true that they have to have the entire site and all the trees located on that site?
No.
No, just the one tree in question.
Planning board zoning, once somebody comes to that, particularly if it's an empty lot or they're going to knock a house down, they have to have on the landscaping plan and the current plan where are all the trees. Because that's why we will understand which trees should be protected. Like the one at Second and Columbia, every tree now is protected because we put a stop work order. Probably 2 trees are going to be taken down. It was backwards. Now you're protecting trees that are probably going to be removed. So if I'm a homeowner, I have a tree in my backyard, arborist goes out, looks at it, he may take it down. You know, they may take it down.
Okay.
So, and the replant, they can plant it anywhere on their property.
What kind of tree inventory do you have? Do you have an inventory system?
Inventory as to what trees were removed?
Well, no, what trees are removed, what trees are present, what trees are protected? You know, you have the arboretum over there. I mean, I don't know.
We have an inventory of the arboretum. We have an inventory of the last 4 years, every tree that has been taken down and what the requirement is for them to, to replace it. Because of the health issues with the zoning enforcement officer, and then she left, that kind of fell through the wayside, and Norm wasn't following up on those things, and now Stacy we've been sending out letters to the homeowners or emails, that probably have not done any replanting of the requirements. And they have 1 year to replant a tree after they have taken a tree down. And so now we sent out a email and then a second email. So now it's been 4 months, and we've had the first year was 55 people hadn't responded. First email, 20 of them responded. Second email, 6 did. So it's still approximately 25 that haven't responded. So unfortunately, they're going to receive a citation, a ticket, and we're going to take them to court. I mean, they've been notified 3 times. They signed a piece of paper that said they'd replace, and we don't really want to do that. We just want compliance.
Right.
Just plant a tree. You don't plant a tree, write us a check.
Right.
So.
So Wayne, in addition to if they don't plant a tree, they get fined, and they also have to contribute to the tree bank?
Yeah.
If they don't plant a tree, they get fined, and then they are required to plant a tree, or they can just write a tree for the, write a check for $400 to the tree bank. Correct.
And the tree bank is $200 a tree, right?
400.
Oh, 400 a tree?
Yep. So we're probably buying a 200.
Take care of buying the tree and planting it.
That is correct. We buy it and plant it. Yep, that way we don't want any money coming out of our pocket. We actually just raised the charges for the application for the permit. We had been charging $35, and our arborist goes out there and charges $55. Well, that's not good economics. So we're now charging whatever the arborist charges us, we charge the homeowner.
Do you require them to replace any trees with the same species, or, in another question, do you force a certain type of tree onto the, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yep, we make recommendation. I think there have been 2 times in the last 4 years, we voted that they should replace that cedar with another cedar tree.
So it's a must thing?
Correct.
Okay.
The other 300 replacements, no. Pick one off of our list. We have 45, 50 trees on our list.
Do you have trees that you do not recommend?
Absolutely. Pears. You know, crepe myrtle, they're not on our list. They may plant all they want. They may plant, arborvitae, Leyland cypress, go to it, it doesn't count. One contractor, one builder planted, I don't know, 25 of them and said, that meets my requirement. No, it's not on the list.
I have a quick question. Why is it a crepe myrtle? There's so many of them in Cape May. I mean,
They are beautiful, they're great, they are not beneficial to wildlife. Wildlife, they don't find them attractive. Like butterfly bushes, they're butterflies love them, but they're not.
And where did you come up with the, you're going to do a giveaway for shade tree saplings and stuff. Where'd you come up with the supplies of those trees?
The state,
State?
they gives them to us. And unfortunately, we had, I think, 2,000 the first year, and then we cut it down to 500. And last year, we went to I think 1,000. And they're out like in 2 days. I mean, it's unbelievable, the response. My wife and I just went there Friday, and they only gave us 220.
You do what?
Only 220 saplings. We asked for 1,000 because of planting conditions, the help. There are only 10 nurseries nationwide that are participating now. I think the big thing is the help. They can't get help to plant all these things and to harvest them. So it'll be, I think we allowed people to take 5 saplings, per person. I think it'll probably be 2 this year. And
How big are these?
They are.
In a pot?
No, they are
Bare root?
bare roots.
Bare root.
Yeah, we put them in water and in buckets. And unfortunately, we only have 4 species. We usually have 7 species. And the dogwoods, the flowering trees, we get a lot.
We did that
People want those.
100 years ago, and at Cape May Elementary School, we thought that was a good idea. I think maybe 30% of them made it home, and maybe 1% got in the ground. I think I remember. And we figured, no, that's the end of that. That's not.
I don't know if I'll ever forget, one kid
I mean, the
came,
kids were enthusiastic.
Oh, yeah.
But I've said it, I don't think they made it home.
one kid last year, he came, he said, I planted it last year. My tree is this big.
Oh,
I said, it must be a sycamore. We planted one in our backyard. I can't believe it. It's huge. But it's fascinating. We had to cancel Arbor Day at the school. We do a program teaching the kids. They have some testing thing going on, so there were conflicts. But if we give them 100 trees, we only have 120 for the.
And they what?
If we give them 100 trees for I think there are 95 students there, we would only have 125 left for the community. So there'd be a revolt.
That's good.
Somebody on our shade tree wanted 4 or 5 for his property. I go, no, I don't think that would be good. So, what else? Oh, also, I don't know if you have it on our zoning application. We have, as part of that, so for someone to sign it, a tree protection zone, TPZ, shall be delineated around all trees to be protected prior to any activity on the site. So they sign this thing, and then they go out there and they knock a house down, and I said, what, So the only thing we had would be to stop work order, so I want them to add non-compliance could result in fines up to whatever the amount is, 5,000, 10,000, I don't know, whatever the amount. So they know better, too. They really do. So, but, certain builders, and interesting, it was contentious 5 years ago.
4 or 5 years ago, I think I mentioned this to you before, 4 or 5 years ago, the city changed the floor area ratio in areas east of Madison Avenue, where they had a lot of ranch houses and 1.5-story small houses put
Right.
in there. And they allowed more house on a smaller lot. Well, over the years, those lots have been landscaped. So you had a lot of trees in there. Now, a small house is taken down and a huge house.
Right.
Not a huge, but a much bigger house is put in. And I told them 4 or 5 years ago what was going to happen, and that's what's happening. A lot of these trees are coming down because the houses. And there's no question that it has to go down because it's either within the footprint of
Right.
a larger house or within 5 or 6 feet of the footprint of a larger house. So, you know,
I mean, the homeowners have rights, and we, homeowners have rights, and we understand that. That's, yeah, it's unfortunate. Second Avenue, we're thinking about putting a sewer system in there. And there,
Oh, yeah.
And there are five or six homes that really are demanding they have it there. They say they're breaking down, et cetera. There are going to be a lot of trees that'll have to be removed because of that. And also, we've allowed homes to be built on lots that the septic system absolutely can't handle. There used to be one bathroom, and now there are homes on there that have 4 bathrooms.
and the size of the house is bigger.
Yeah,
But
huge.
still, they got the
So-
same septic.
Yep, so,
How many, you don't have a whole lot of area that's not sewered in West Cape May, do you?
well, the Second Avenue, and then out, is it
To
past?
the east, to the west?
Yeah, that would be to, I think, this southwest, out in that area. So Sixth Avenue, past Green Street, out that area.
That's what?
Green Street, Vassar Lane or Green Street. But most of the places do have, yeah, I think they do have sewer. But I would be upset, I mean, this is certainly off topic, but if I just put a system in and now they're going to get assessed $30,000 a person, there's 68 homes. I don't want a system. I don't want to pay $30,000. And some of those homes are small. They're not, a lot of them are the small ranches, and I don't think there's a lot of wealth in certain places. And, $30,000 is a lot of money. Now, I've heard that the home goes up $40,000, but I don't care if I'm going to live in the house the rest of my life, what the value of the home is, so.
Oh. Do you ever get requests for street trees coming down because they're interfering with utilities?
We had a incredible sycamore on, I think it's Emerald. They were putting an addition on the right side of the house and a driveway, and we went out and looked at it, and I said, you can move that. That's another thing which has been happening. Planning and zoning are asking people, don't put the shed there. Don't put the garage there, don't put the driveway there, can you move it over here? Now, we really don't have the right to make them do that, but we're asking them, can you do it so to save this tree? And we said, no, you can't take the tree down, and it was kind of a battle, but that tree is still there, and the driveway has been built around it.
Okay.
And, yeah, I mean, that sycamore is 3 feet.
That's something that your planning and zoning board asks for, right?
Correct.
See, we don't have that.
Yep.
We don't get that type of cooperation with that and the HPC. They don't look at the trees. They don't take the trees into account when they said to move the driveway over here, because the trees aren't on the plans.
I think it would behoove them to look at them. You have to look at everything. I mean, there is a reason. We just drove back from Atlantic City, went over to Avalon and drove down there. Every house is white or beige. And there ain't a whole lot of trees. I mean, there are not a lot of trees at all.
You're not on the planning board, are you? Or is it HPC?
I'm not, no.
All right.
Do you,
Trees are part of the beauty down
The
here.
HPC.
yeah, yeah.
There's our Trade C
Yeah.
shade tree flag.
Yeah, it's, trees are what makes West Cape May and Cape May
Oh.
the point. Part of,
Absolutely.
hey, we're only at 25.
Wow, that's cool.
I'm gonna get Dave or Pat to put these on our 2 signs.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's great. Do you have any members of your Shade Tree Commission that are also members of the planning board or zoning board? Or you have HPC as well, right?
Correct. Susan's on HPC, she's part of, nobody else is on
I
planning.
was just curious if that's why that it comes up more frequently with you folks than it does with us.
I think because I think about 3 months ago, Susan and I started to write a report about the property, because I started receiving plans. And so we'd look at it, we'd go out at their property, look at it, and then write a report on, these are significant trees, these are not, these are scrub trees, these 2 trees over here, they're in the middle of the pool, it's okay to go. And so we would write kind of a synopsis of what our feelings were. And, TJ, who's the head of planning board, we've never had anything like this. This is great. And they send it to the builder, the homeowner, the architect, of the people coming to planning, for a variance. So they get the tree thing. Everybody has all the information before they come to the meeting, which is great. So now they know that, the one guy who was a landscaper said, but, one thing they did miss the 2 trees in the back right corner that are hackberries. And I went up to him afterwards, we didn't review them because they're nowhere near the building site. If you read what it says, trees to be impacted by the building. Yeah. Oh, okay. My wife is very thorough, very thorough.
I'm going to make an account to, we have a person named Craig Hurlis, who's our planning and zoning board engineer. See if there's any way we can make it as part of his review for completeness report.
Who?
Craig Hurlis, he's the engineer for the planning and zoning board. I'm going to
And
see if he can
item
somehow,
number
how do we add that to that?
Item number 26 on that long sheet or whatever it is says,
Okay.
not consult with the shade tree, but any trees affected, or words to that effect is on that checklist.
Okay.
So what are you asking exactly that you want Craig to be?
To make sure that that is brought up,
Yes.
In an ordinance or?
No, just to be brought up at the meeting saying, just a simple, question, can we save this tree by moving
Right,
the
moving
driveway
moving
or
the driveway,
et cetera?
Yeah, putting,
I think it'd be a great idea if the commissioners and all the different commissions, environmental, everybody starts talking to one another and getting together. And I know that Cape May maybe thinks that, it's West Cape May over there, but there's there are a couple of smart people over there. And I just think it's best for the whole island. I mean, it's best for, the Point and us. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard that, maybe somebody wants to put a public bathroom in Wilbraham Park. And
Where?
Wilbraham Park,
Oh,
in the
where?
park.
Wilbraham.
In Wilbraham, in the,
yeah, that's,
I don't care where.
It's not going to happen.
not having so many events in that park.
Well,
The backyard park
Yeah.
behind City Hall in West Cape May, that Wilbraham Park is looking really nice now.
it's beautiful. Bathroom, whatever, I just don't think it belongs there. And there are, George Dick is the new commissioner. He does his homework. There are 9 bathrooms within 7/10 of a mile of Wilbraham Park.
Okay.
I said, I didn't know that. Now, none of them are in West Cape May. I get that, but anyway. So
Yes.
pardon me? CVS, West End Garage, in the strip mall where Shea Michelle is and all that, there's a bathroom there. So anyway, I know. I just, I don't know why I brought that up. Yeah, Exit Zero.
Extra zero, yeah, I was thinking about that too.
So
Wow.
I've actually covered, all that, I think the stuff that, and you have a list of our ordinances. Anytime, if you want to get a list of our ordinances whenever they've been updated, you're more than
yeah.
welcome to have. You can, and quite frankly, you can copy them and just, this is what we want. I don't get. I think all 3, the Point, Cape May, and West Cape May should have the same ordinances.
I agree.
Particularly trees. It's not that we, if they're different roads and different speeds, whatever, they're different infrastructure, that's different. Trees are trees. It's,
An agreement on that too.
Everybody would
Make it more
benefit.
simple.
yeah. That way I could resign, you could be the president of everything, and you didn't hear that, did you?
Well, is that something that the commission would like me to have the solicitor do? To try to match our ordinance with theirs, and then we'll review it, and then if we approve it, we'll send it to city council?
3 of us spent 6 months, and we wrote 21 pages, which we gave it to Chris Gillen Schwartz. He went, whoa, you can't do that. But I went through I forget what those brochures we get, green and gray brochures that has, I forget who they're from, but how to write a tree ordinance. And we went through one thing at a time and basically wrote information all over. Took stuff out of ANSI standards, what you should be doing. So it was great. And he got it, and he then consolidated it and got to, the ordinance that we have.
Was this the end product, Wayne, this document?
No, the end product is all this.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Ordinance 30, Ordinance
So
321.
what is that then?
This is my booklet that I take to Shade Tree when someone says something, and I said, I don't think that's correct. I go into the ordinances and I can
And you-
pull it out. Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's very organized.
Well, yeah, my dad was an accountant. So,
So that's different than this document. Preservation of certain trees.
Okay, that is in one of those ordinances, so this is one ordinance, correct?
Oh, okay,
Yep.
okay.
Talks about tree protection zones.
So you've got multiple ordinances that pertain to?
Correct. Landscaping, shade tree, and, but,
Can you send us the number of those ordinances, or can we get copies of them?
we
Or-
could do that, yep. Yep, I can get that to you.
That'd be fantastic.
It's pretty good, and Frank Corrado has been just great. He and I have had conversations, and basically what I do is I write paragraphs or 2 paragraphs, send them off to him, and then he wordsmiths, attorneyizes them, and does whatever's legal. Wayne, you can't fine him $20,000. There's certain limits, but
Gotcha.
I think one of the biggest things is to get everybody on board. You got to get all the other commissioners to say, hey, this is important. HPC, I mean, God bless, after driving through other areas up north, there's nothing like Cape May. I mean, it's just absolutely stunning, the homes here and the architecture. And it is important to try to keep it. But it's not a living, breathing
love-
thing. Once you cut a tree down,
I'd love to have the maritime forest that Stone Harbor has. You know, the seaward of that main road, that main north-south road in Stone Harbor. Is it Sea Isle? No, Stone Harbor. That beautiful maritime forest is,
oh, yes, yeah.
you know,
Yep, actually, we passed it.
Yeah,
And I
where
said,
they-
and I turned and I said, wow, it used to all look like this.
they went,
It used to all look like this before they
it
start
used to, yeah.
cutting everything down and, putting up
yeah,
homes.
and then they discovered a pine beetle and went in and wanted to take all the pine trees out of there because they were growing up and the people that had the big houses didn't have a good view of the ocean, so
Yeah.
they found enough pine beetles to take down a lot of the pine trees that were in there.
Then we went by Utz's. That's a nice home.
How do you, say if a person were to cut down a tree, right, and all of a sudden, a month later, the neighbor who comes down to fix up the house before the summer notices the tree's gone, how do you prove the value of the tree to find them?
Just this morning, we got back from Atlantic City and,
Pi r squared times 27.
Well, no, I
Yeah,
mean, the
yeah,
tree's
yeah.
already gone, so nobody measured it before it disappeared.
Well, all
Correct.
you have is the stump. You have to estimate 4.5 feet up what the diameter would be. Half the diameter is the radius. Multiply that by pi, square it,
Right.
and then times $27 an inch. That's the value of the tree.
But aren't we supposed to measure it a certain feet off the ground?
4.5
correct.
feet
Yeah,
above.
once it's cut down, we had one this morning that they had a stump out, a foot tall, I think probably 14 inches diameter, laying next to the sidewalk, and I saw where the tree had been cut down. The stump was probably 2 inches high. So exactly what he had said, that you have to go out there and measure that stump, and let's say it's 14 inches, the arborist would then calculate it was 10 inches at 4.5 feet, and it's radius squared times pi times $27, and that's the fine.
Do you get that often, missing trees?
Get it often. You can't cut a tree, a chainsaw goes off in West Cape May, and I get a phone call. I have a number of people out there that are very vigilant, and I call and I go out and I look, and, you can't cut that tree down, you know that? So, no, I don't think we get it often. But the last fine, the $800 fine, we did. Yeah, tree was dead, too. It was
That's a shame.
$35, I go out there, I look at it, yes, you may cut it down, and he's done. But they did it 2 years ago. So he said, sorry, yeah. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Excellent presentation.
Yeah, if we've got
Oh,
to chew on.
I've been living it.
Good job, though. I mean, that's,
I tell you, we have a good group of people. There are some sharp
And I
people.
read the paper all the time with wonderful articles that they save West Cape May. I'm always jealous.
And do you know Glenda? She's in the garden club. She lives kind of across Glenda.
What was the name?
Her first name is Glenda and Werner. But she just got on Shade Tree 5 years ago. She was a money manager, but very quiet. I mean, the first 4 meetings, she didn't say anything. And the last meeting, oh, boy, she unloaded about something. It was about the bathroom, and it's about ivy. We once a week, a group of us go out, there are about 8 of us, Usually we get 4 at a time that have the time to do it. We go out and we divine trees.
Oh, yeah.
8 o'clock in the morning till 9:15, and we've got 10 of them, but, and she is just adamant about taking vines off of trees, and
Do you have any rules about people maintaining the vines on their trees in your ordinances?
no, we do
Okay.
not. But what I try to do is knock on the door, and I say, this tree is a street tree, it's a tree and borough right away, and we have the authority to do this, but we kind of like to, ask you, may we do it? And we've had one person that say, no, don't take them off. And he's got 10 trees.
So, excuse me, but you're saying that your little group that you get together with, you go around and look at the trees, the street trees, not the property owner's trees?
Correct.
And then you take off, like if it's ivy or,
Yeah, we cut a circle around the bottom of the tree.
that's a
Take it off.
wonderful, wonderful thing, because I'll tell you, I live
Yeah,
on
it's-
Columbia Avenue here.
Uh-huh.
And the back of my house is filled. I mean, you just can't, I finally did have a landscaper who finally figured out something to take stuff off, but it's very hard it's hard to keep up with all that. I had to go around my wrought iron fence.
Oh, yeah,
All the
yeah.
different vines and so forth.
Bleach. You don't want to hear that. Don't do that. I'm kidding. Bamboo. I have some lady, called me about bamboo from her neighbors coming into her yard, and she was crying. I said, that's
Did you see the size of the bamboo in back of what used to be Alexander's Restaurant?
Yeah.
Out here now? I remember when that was put in, not 2 years ago. It was a plant about 2 feet tall. And now it's over 6 or 7 foot tall. in there.
And heavens knows,
And it's-
Bamboo and mint. You plant them in a bathtub, nowhere else. Bamboo and mint. That was the only, you plant them in a bathtub, they can't get out. Yeah, that's the.
Great.
Well, I really appreciate you
And
coming.
lastly, anytime, any of you, give them my phone number, anybody can call me.
Awesome.
I'm retired, I don't have a life.
When do you have your meetings?
Second Tuesday, it used to be the first Tuesday, now it's the second Tuesday of every month, 6 to 7. And
Yeah,
we're,
we're the second Tuesday
At 2 p.m.
at 2 o'clock
Correct.
here.
correct.
And
One
where
of
are
these
your
days, I'll
meetings?
make a trip over to see you guys.
Good, we'll have security then, just to make.
Okay.
Where are your meetings held?
In Borough Hall.
Borough Hall?
Yep.
thank you. Excellent.
I can't think of anything else, but like I said, let me know.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. to
Oh,
come over and
one
talk
last
to us
question.
today.
Do you have a memorial tree program? Do people plant trees in city areas in memory of family members and things like that?
George did.
Not a significant tree. You're talking about a memorial tree with a plaque. right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. We're kind of held ours now in abeyance because we can't come up with a suitable
Location.
manufacturer of these plaques for a reasonable price.
Do me a favor, just text me
Okay.
about plaques. Susan gets them somewhere, and they're great plaques.
Okay.
Susan is my wife. I think George planning for his mother in the park. He bought the tree, planted the tree. And for Joe McMahon, I think that's a redbud in the tree. I believe we are trying to avoid doing that because the trees die, like,
And then who's responsible for
yeah.
the replacement?
Was it Daly, the parade lady?
Yes.
Okay. I hope her family doesn't notice, but her tree died. And so I pulled out the plaque and I put it in a tree right next to it. This isn't public. Well, but, so I would avoid doing that. Plaques on benches, we've done that in the park. Interesting, my wife comes from marketing, so she said, and I'm not sure about Cape May and the Promenade, but if you buy a plaque and put it on there, and I might be wrong, but I think is it good for a certain time period, 10 years, and then they have to renew it? But we did not do that in Wilbraham, but wish we would have, because that plaque, once you get the money for that plaque, you're done, it's over with.
Because we have plaques that are on the benches on the.
Right, the promenade, right.
They've been there, some of them like forever.
Yeah.
So I don't think we have anything like
So.
that.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the plaque thing, I don't know if that's true, but I heard that, and you hear a lot of things down here, and you have to confirm. We are putting plaques little signs on every tree in Wilbraham Park, which I do. We did a whole lot of research, which will identify the tree, what it is, and a little one of those gizmo codes that you can put your phone to it, and it'll tell you all about that tree. And it's interesting system. It's a stainless steel screw that goes through the plaque, a washer, stainless steel washer goes on, and then a spring, and then into the tree. Because the tree grows, and it'll push the spring, so every 3 years you have to loosen the screw a little bit, until you have to replace it. So apparently, I contacted Longwood and Morris, and they said that's the process they use. I did not like putting anything into trees, but they said, I said, okay.
Hey, you put some of those on the trees in Wilbraham Park. I've seen
Yeah, but we have not put plaques on though. There will be,
the little.
little plaques that have,
Yes. Identified the tree and.
the name of the tree, the genus, and then probably 2 lines of what is this tree? And then you can, again, hit it with your phone, and I don't know how to do that, but one of my daughters said, yeah, it is, it'll be great for the kids. We're trying, let's get some kids into the.
Who know how to do
park.
all that stuff.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
We also are going to try to have more events in Wilbraham Park, but we'd like to do small events, like Wednesdays in Wilbraham, and do the Honey Hawks or the Squares, have somebody sing and have 150 people there, 200 people. The festivals, most of Shade Tree is against it because of it gets hammered.
Yeah.
It really gets beaten up. I don't know how I feel. Merchants, actually, the majority of the merchants like it in the backyard park because of accessibility. Real eeasy to get in and out.
It's a shame we can't shut down the roads or something. At least one, maybe either Perry or.
I suggested that to shut down Perry and have the detour. You come down Perry, you make a right-hand turn onto Park and go out that way. Or the other way around is, I guess you have to go by the VFW and so
Yeah, but
or close down Park and put a whole lot of vendors there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like the vendors in the streets. It would be Perry. I think there's solutions, but it's been contentious with the West Cape May. They're no longer the business association. They're now the West Cape May Business Committee,
oh,
part of the Cape May Chamber of Commerce.
okay,
Yeah. So,
cool.
okay,
Well-
I am done. I've taken too much of your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
Very, very informative.
Oh, not mine.
Okay,
Thank you, Wayne.
yeah, he's really on to it. Well, we're supposed to have a review of Kiwanis Park by our city engineer. He confirmed it with me. He must be running a little late. Our deputy mayor just texted him, so we're waiting for him to get back to us, so. Okay.
This is the trees in Kiwanis Park.
Yes.
Thanks, Wayne.
So
I
If
may
he's
show up on one
running
of your-
late.
I may show up on one of your monthly Tuesday meetings at 6 to 7.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Lori.
Okay, fine, all right. On Tuesday, second Tuesday.
At 7 o'clock, I said, guys,
But, okay.
I'm 71. Come on. I'm climbing into my pajamas at 7.
Thank you.
Our engineer's walking in the building right now,
Are
so.
we gonna drive out there and look at some of those trees or what?
I don't think it's necessary. I just would rather him go over the plans with us.
Okay, because I'd like to have them, because the trees are starting to deteriorate. I'm of an age that you and I are starting to deteriorate too, but you don't take us down because of that. And if the trees aren't rocking in their cradle, no reason to take them down.
Right.
Hello, how you?
I'm doing well.
This is Vince Orlando. He's our city engineer. He's in charge of the plans for the Kiwanis Park.
And your name is?
Vince Orlando.
Oh, Vince Orlando, yes.
Right. So Nicole's coming. She was
What?
at the park. She got missed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I thought we were missed meeting there.
I'm sorry about that.
So we're going to bring the boards down, give the overall concept. But I guess the most important thing is you're looking to see what trees we're going to take down.
Yes, and the reason why.
So we have a complete inventory of every tree in the park.
Okay,
So a little bit of me. My first degree is in landscape architecture. Then I have a degree in engineering. Nicole is a landscape architect too. So we're very familiar with trees and landscaping and environmental design. So Nicole did a full inventory of every single tree in the park. Botanical name, common name, and some of the characteristics of the tree and why we're recommending removal. And we're recommending a good number of trees to be removed. I think it's 22 trees.
And how many trees are there?
60?
So a third.
Are you, is there any plans to put additional trees in?
Well, we do have a landscape component of the park, so, but it's mostly smaller gardens. One of the things that the park characteristics, the grant was for ADA compatible park,
ADA.
ADA. So, So the concept behind the renovation of the park was to be ADA compatible.
Which means what? Walkways, level areas?
Well, it's really under the American Disabilities Act.
Yes, I know it.
Okay, so we took a broader look at this, and we didn't really want to make the play equipment to be ADA compatible, but we wanted to make the entire park compatible, and not only for individuals in wheelchairs. So the park has a number of features. They're all handicap accessible, but we also looked at the other three disabilities: hearing impaired, visually impaired, and emotionally impaired, so that we have sensory gardens for the kids. We have some safe space shelters for some of the autistic kids, and for the visually impaired, one of the things that we're doing, we're going to do Braille and identify all the trees so that the kids can go around and have a Braille. So if it's a red maple, they could feel it and be a red maple or dogwood or whatever. So we wanted to bring the entire park into not only somebody, like when you think of the handicap accessible, you think of somebody in a wheelchair. But we took a broader approach. So a couple of things happened on the park itself, and I'll talk about the trees when she gets here. But this main area gets totally renovated. So we have a ADA compatible piece of the play equipment.
Okay.
So not only the swings are ADA compatible, there are different levels of swings where parents could, if you look, it's called a connection swing set.
Right.
Connect. Of course, there's safety swings. The Creative Play Clubhouse is for the autistic. These two new pieces are both, you can see they're ADA compatible. The sensory gardens are all based on where somebody could come in who could be visually impaired, could have different levels of sensory touch. And Nicole probably is walking in, she can tell a little bit more. But this is Nicole Welsh.
Nicole.
I was at the park.
Sorry about that.
Final inventory.
Cool.
We've got this for everybody.
Thank you so much for being here with us today.
So,
So we have a copy for everybody, so you can follow along.
so you're gonna put, there's very little parking in there now, so you're gonna put where the main lane coming in off of Madison Avenue, you're gonna take that little center section with a bunch of trees down in there
Couple,
to put parking in, correct?
some of these stay. So we're putting 6 more spaces there, and we're putting handicap accessible space there.
Okay.
So,
So there's actually a total of 24 trees that are proposed to be removed, but only 3 of them are due to the improvements to the park. 1 to be removed to expand the playground, and 2 to be removed for the parking.
And 2 to what?
2 to be removed for parking.
Playground and parking.
So there's
Okay.
3 total for the improvements. All the rest are because they're decaying or in bad health.
So if you look at the handout that Nicole gave you, you'll see that the written sheet is a listing of all the trees, there are 52 trees. They're labeled 1 through 52. And then if you look at the inventory.
And the red ones will be removed?
Yes.
The red ones are removed, and they're all numbered. So if you look very closely, and I'll leave the larger board for you, but they're all numbered. So for example, the first one's a Norway maple, severe dieback.
Right.
So we're calling for removal. So you could, if somebody wanted to go out there and to take a secondary look, to look and see what trees we're making recommendation to remove and why. Nicole, the question was asked, are we doing any tree replacement?
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't think we brought the.
Yeah, these trees that are on the west or east end of the park, there aren't any trees in there now. I think they're all gone. The alder, poplar, white alder,
They're there.
are they? Okay.
This was conceptual, but yes, we're doing tree
I'm
replacement.
not sure how many, but we are doing tree replacement.
I can tell you right
I
here.
would say probably around 12 or 15 is my guess.
And are there any trees, Nicole? Are there any trees that have memorial plaques on them?
Yes, there's 4 trees, but we're not planning to remove them.
Okay.
And on the map that I gave you, they're circled in green.
The what?
Circled in green. Yep. There's a green circle.
Oh, I see, okay.
And other memorial trees which are still doing well and won't be removed. So we'll have some new trees. So let's get some money and get some more memorials.
Well, that's another thing.
Trees to be-
We have
Recommending 34 new trees in the park.
34 new trees.
34 new.
That's great news.
And all of them are on the recommended tree list for City of Cape May.
What are some of the species, Nicole? Just so-
We have serviceberry, October glory, red maple, sugar maple, yellow birch, American hornbeam, eastern redbud, flowering dogwood, shagbark hickory, American beech, American holly, eastern red cedar, crepe myrtle, sweet gum, southern magnolia, crabapple, sweet bay magnolia, black gum, Japanese black pine, choke cherry, white oak, and willow oak.
Wow.
So we went with a diversity of species to also just bring awareness to, just native plants and native tree species.
And one of the things that we don't like to do is that we don't like to be redundant of trees, just so that we don't, if you, like, for example, the American elm, when they were the city tree, and when the Dutch elm disease came in, they were wiped out. That's why if you see towns, like, I'll never plant another Bradford pear, because the same thing's gonna happen. You go down to Wildwood, every street has a Bradford pear. Now, I love the tree, don't get me wrong. but they're
No,
never
Bradford pear, we went along with the Atlantic Electric when they came in because they don't grow real high. And that's what they wanted us to plant. So we planted several years ago. I've been on this commission for 150 years.
You know what, the day of 100,
I remember we planted those trees because that was what they recommended. And they're lovely trees, but they're lollipop trees. They grow up, all the branches come off of one spot, and then they get old, and the branches start peeling off,
Yeah.
you know?
so it's funny that you say that. We had, in front of our office, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, geez, I'm getting old, we planted 3 pears, but we did the aristocrat.
Did what?
They're called aristocrat Bradford pear. It's just a different form.
Okay.
And they were doing well this year, and one tree just lost all its branches every day. Branches. I bet you they lost 20%
Yeah.
of their foliage. And they're still okay, but
Well, and the habitat of how, or the nature of how they grow, the branches come out in an acute angle, so the crotches are weak to
Yes,
wind
well,
load.
and a week, because they all come out of one spot.
Yeah,
And it's okay when the tree is relatively small, but after X number of years, those branches get pretty substantial, and
Yep,
down they come.
yep.
So, and then, Nicole, of the trees that we're planting, how many plaques did we, for the visually impaired?
I think 24.
Notice that,
And that's gonna be
you know
for,
who's the brains of the family, don't you?
Yeah,
and that was for trees and perennials. So it was a total of, I should have it here. A total of 30 plaques. 15 will go on trees and 15 will identify perennials.
So it was so the perennial gardens works better when it's right side up. That perennial garden is here, around the gazebo.
that's to be bushes and flowers,
So we put 4 trees,
okay.
and then we have a perennial garden in there, and that's where we want to do the sensory garden for the visually impaired.
For what?
Visually impaired.
Oh,
So that
okay.
kids that are visually impaired, you did a lot more research than I did, so.
Well, just using some plant material that is sensory stimulating. So, for instance, muley grass is very soft to the touch. Lamb's ear is a perennial, it's very soft to the touch. So, and then even some that are just very fragrant, you know, so even blind kids can come up and smell the plant, feel the plant, you know. And a lot of those perennials will be using identification tags that will have the name, the common, the Latin, and then we'll put Braille on the perennial ones so that they can come up and touch, you know, the plaque. So there'll be 15 identification tags for the perennial garden and then 15 random throughout the park on the trees.
What kind?
Little plaques on the trees.
Oh, okay, all right. And some will be, or all of it be in Braille? For the
I don't know
visually-
all of them, but yeah, I guess all of them.
Yeah, so they'll have the botanical name,
Right.
the common name, and then the common name will be also in Braille.
Oh, okay,
So that for educational purposes for the kids.
right, sure.
Like if you go out there and look at your grandson, and if you didn't know it, this is a red maple.
Right.
Acer rubrum.
Okay.
And then obviously if they're visually impaired, they could feel it with the Braille. We thought it was we really wanted to, when we took this project on, we just didn't want to accommodate the little boy or little girl in a wheelchair. We really wanted to try to expand the horizons of the park, to really get the flavor of the grant.
There's not gonna be any fencing or anything around the pond, right?
No, the only fencing that we have is where the basketball court is.
Yes?
We
You-
put a fence
There's a
here.
fence, there's a little barrier fence to prevent bouncing balls from
So
going
we
in.
have a nice new fence, kind of a Victorian wrought iron look for that area.
Higher?
42 inches,
Yeah, I think it's 4 feet.
4 feet, 48 inches.
Yeah, okay.
And so it has some visual.
Right, you can
It
see
has-
through,
But it really was there for function, because we've been out to the park a number of times, and I'll tell you, if I had a nickel every time I saw basketball in that water.
really? Yeah.
So that was really fencing. We
Can I,
also have a.
may I ask a question, please?
Yeah,
Just going through the math here real fast. And I'm coming up with 15 trees replaced and 34 trees being recommended, new trees. Now, that's correct, right?
34 new trees and I think 24 to be removed.
So that, you know, in essence, that's a 25 tree net.
yes.
Now, where are these new trees going to go?
We got,
We have a full landscape
we
plan
have
here.
a full landscape plan that you welcome.
That's a lot of trees.
So here's, this is just the tree plan. Small.
So if you look, you'll see the location of the new trees throughout the park. And I can provide you with a full scale so you can see it a little bit better if you like. And we're welcome, and in all honesty, I mean, if any of the Shade Tree Commission members feel that there should be some other diversity in plantings,
Well, I guess the question becomes with 34 new trees,
Well, I would suggest in this area,
Okay, wait a minute. George is speaking.
no, go ahead.
what? Well, I would suggest in this area where these trees are gonna be removed, that you consider putting some additional trees
we
in.
did. So if you look here,
There's the,
bring that plan
Oh.
closer,
That-
you can
Yeah,
see,
these, this,
yeah.
oh, you're gonna put, okay.
So those-
Oh, I see, all right,
If you look at the symbols right there.
Oh, good, all right,
You'll see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new trees in that
yeah,
area.
all right, oh, good, okay.
And how are you going to break down the?
All right.
I guess, you're looking at 49 new trees, in essence. 15 replaced, 34 new.
Because the people,
No,
No, it's 34 total.
34 total.
Oh, so the 34, it includes the 15 that you're replacing
Right, so it's
out of the
only a net.
24 removed?
Right.
Oh, okay, so I'm 15 over.
So
Are
it's a
you-
net of 10.
are you planning a walkway all around this?
No,
Because the people on Michigan Avenue, the backyard up to that thing, were a little concerned with
so
people
our
walking,
original concept
was to put a
was to go
walkway.
all the way around.
Yeah, I don't think that's, I don't know if
We
that's,
got some feedback from the neighbors. In the final plan, the walkway comes here, goes here, and to here. The walkway's been eliminated on
yeah,
the
that's probably a good idea.
east side.
George,
There's pluses and minuses.
okay,
I mean, the pluses, in my opinion, was it would have been nice for the people using the park to have that walk around. You know, I don't think there's not a whole lot of yelling and screaming when people are taking walks. But I
Well, the-
understand the backyards of people, they've become accustomed to that being their backyard.
some of the yelling and screaming that's gonna come about is the duck and goose doo-doo that are gonna be, it's all along the edges of that thing now that's gonna be hard to contend with.
We hope that with the upgrade of this park, it becomes a stronger maintenance of the facility, you know.
Yeah, well, you talk to the geese and the ducks, right?
Of the new trees, plus the replacement trees, when will you make a final decision on what type of trees you'll be putting in there?
We've proposed a plant list that's currently with the contractor. I leave this with you.
Do we have that?
You do not have that.
yeah.
You will have it in a second.
Thank you.
So it's broken up to trees and perennials and shrubs, so these are all the trees on this sheet, and then the next sheet shows the perennials and shrubs in a, enlargement, around this area is gonna be all like perennials and shrubs, but then the trees are all here, so, and then the list is right there.
And correct me if I'm wrong, the 24 trees that were suggested to be removed, it looked as though you were replacing trees in that proximity or near those locations.
In close proximity. So one of the things that we talked to the contractor about is when the trees are removed, the stumps are gonna be ground below grade. So we can't replace in the exact location.
Right, okay.
So it'll be in the same approximate location. We discussed that methodology with the contractor. I think ripping up the roots of some of these old trees would be so destructive, would be difficult to regrade.
Yeah, we do that anyhow when we take a tree out in the street lawn. We can't put a tree back in the same location. Even if it's ground down to where, you can dig a hole, backfill it, never works out real well. So you gotta put it next to it, either side.
Right, and that's what we'll do. So, the good news is that we'll be out there during the construction. So myself or Nicole will be out there working with their landscape contractor for the tree location. Those tree locations will not take place until this fall. So we've got a tentative schedule from the contractor, is that under phase one, he's gonna remove the trees, ground the stumps, put in the sidewalks, put in the lighting, do the sewer and water connections, and then stop. And the reason being is that all the tables, and picnic tables, and benches, and play equipment, there's a 12-week lead time,
It's supposed to what?
12-week lead time.
Oh, okay.
So we're just they were awarded the contract 2 weeks ago. We're in the process of approving their submittals. So if we approve their submittals by May 1st, they're not going to get the equipment until August 1st. And we're not going to let them work in the park June, July, or August. So that was something that the council didn't want. They have programs there, so we're going to bring them up to June 1, demobilize, and then start up again in September.
In September?
Yeah.
Okay.
And those trees, which in my opinion, the best time for tree planting is in September.
Yes. yeah.
October, when they go dormant.
Well, I have no further questions on
George,
this. I
would you
think
like a
it's
full
agreeable
copy
to me.
of the landscape plan?
No, thank you. If I have a question, I'll just give you guys a call.
I mean, I could email
can
it
email it.
to,
Yeah, you can email it to me, and I'll make sure everybody
and
gets
then
it.
everybody
Could we
get
get
copy.
a list of the trees that are gonna be planted? That's on that,
It is on that,
right,
it is there.
right, but can we get
Small.
can we get a copy or?
So what I'll do is I will email Councilman.
You want to email it to
Sure.
you, or do you want to email it to Nancy?
Just email it to me. You already have my email.
I'll
Okay,
email it to him.
to Shane,
and
and then,
you're welcome to have a smaller copy, but I know it's hard to read.
yeah,
Yeah, I can hardly read.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Thank you.
it's there.
I was gonna try and take a photo of it, yeah, but
Yeah, me and you both, I can't say it.
I can't even.
Well, this is a fantastic plan. I'm really
it's
thankful that you
incredible.
came and showed us. And-
Unbelievable.
and-
It's really, really brilliant.
And the way you described the concepts of how and why you're doing this is also commendable. And I think the fact that we're ending up with more trees in the end, that's the best outcome we can, expect.
I
So,
think when people get word of it, we're going to be like the Cape May Zoo.
I think at the end of the day, it will be a nice addition, and
Absolutely.
you have to commend council for coming up with the extra
Thank you.
dollars.
Well, I like the concept of being ADA and emotionally handicapped and
Yes.
visually handicapped and all that stuff, useful for a park. That'd be great, because the way things are going, I don't think we'll see the Lafayette Street Park in our lifetime.
We're working on it.
Are ya?
We're working on it. We got a couple of hurdles, but we're nearing the finish line on getting the.
Oh, that'd be good, getting all the approvals we need?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're getting there. And we are moving ahead with the walkway around the pond. Moving that ahead, because that had nothing to do with the Green Acres swale.
Oh, okay. Pond, what pond?
There's a pond behind the school, a small pond.
Okay, well, that goes right into, I wouldn't say Cape Island Creek, but that goes right into the wetlands there.
Exactly, so we're getting a permit to build a boardwalk around that pond,
Okay.
that'd be good.
All right,
That's
that'd be
great.
as an environmental nature walk.
There's a lot of those up in Cape Cod.
Right. Now, unfortunately, we won't be able to plant any trees because we'll be working within the wetlands.
Yeah, but no, the trees will come planted in the other green areas closer toward Lafayette Street. Because the shade tree is asked for, and we don't have we haven't received any feedback yet from city council, but we've asked for authority to do any trimming of us and Public Works, trimming of any trees that's in the Lafayette Street
Okay.
Park, okay? Because we don't touch trees in Rotary Park, because that's, the fund is supposed to take care of that. We don't touch trees on the mall, because the Business Improvement District takes care of that. And I don't want to get involved in another shutout at Lafayette Street Park.
Do they do a good annual trimming on the
No.
trees? That's important, because you can lose habit of the tree very
Right.
quickly if you don't prune.
But again, we treat the fund and the Business Improvement District as private property owners.
I'd like to take credit for the ADA wherewithal of how this came about. But Nicole's, I gotta give credit to Nicole, she's the one who said, let's not only look at X, let's expand our horizon. And it actually was a fun project in the office, we really enjoyed doing it. And
That's great.
we're looking forward to getting constructed and
Yeah.
having ribbon cutting.
Thank you all so much. It's wonderful.
Does anybody else have any other questions on this? I think we have the authority here, so we'll sign as Shade Tree Commission, because we've got a quorum here, that we'll sign off on this. I think it's as it stands.
Yeah,
Are we in agreement?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
our seal of approval.
Okay. Good, thank you very much. I'm glad that answered a lot of our questions. I hate to see mature trees come down, but I understand what you're saying and what you're doing.
What the
so.
end result is going to be.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Shane, what about the family that was interested in,
Thank you.
There is a family that's interested in
Thanks for
putting
coming
a
in.
memorial tree in there.
right, oh, is that what they?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah,
But I had to coordinate with them because they can't do it until after the park's finished.
right,
So
yeah.
there might be an opportunity for them to memorialize one of the new trees going in and not have to spend the money
Right,
themselves.
right.
But we're still thinking, it's still
About what?
memorial trees.
Okay,
Somebody wants to put a memorial tree in that park,
who does?
and somebody.
So, okay.
Some family.
But,
The thing is, we can't, as I said, I'm sure that there's a solution to this, but Nancy can't come up with a manufacturer of plaques that doesn't cost an arm and a leg.
well, it sounds like they already have the plaque situation,
Westgate May
Right,
taken care of.
yeah.
so we can always incorporate or coordinate with that.
All right, you're gonna put together some of this stuff?
That we
We'll have
talked
another
about.
meeting?
Yep,
All right.
yep.
Call us, we'll do it, let's do it at our regular meeting.
Yes.
But we'll just clear the boards, and probably sometime in the summer, when we're all here, we'll be able to do it then, just could do the changes to the ordinance then.
Okay.
All right.
Speaking of the memorial plaques or trees, is there a way to put a name in for that?
We can figure it out.
I'd like to have one for my husband.
Okay.
You know what? You were gonna do one for me, like, that was 6 years ago.
What's that?
For Dan. 6 years, because we used
do,
to take our Samoyed up there when we first came to Cape May, and little did we know, he's all white. Little did we know, he went into that pond, came out all black.
Oh, I bet.
That was our first time in Cape May
Yeah, yeah,
ever.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It's called
We've
mud.
laughed about it forever. So, yeah,
All
I'd
right,
like to do
I'll
that.
entertain.
Do you want to adjourn the meeting?
Yes, I entertain a motion, we'll adjourn the meeting. All those in favor?
Okay.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Turn off
Thank
your
you.
It was a
mic.
wonderful experience.
Turn off your mic.
Oops, that's right.